head, and there he goes. Abyss gonna clean him up.
Olaf goes down. Everyone's just gonna line up here for Lazzy. He's gonna find himself the Quadra. Give it to him. Pentakill.
Priestley with the quad feed.
Gets the ace. Available, just spin to win all over.
That game was insane.
Hello and welcome, Saints Nation. We are getting ready for some NECC League of Legends action. We have Grandview University, the JV squad, versus St. Clair College. My name is Dan Banner, also known as Mr. Danners, and joined alongside me for the first time for League of Legends, Amanda Dupuis. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty excited for some League of Legends. I know I've definitely enjoyed watching and learning to play League of Legends over the past month or so. So now it's finally time to give a try at casting. So we'll have to see how it goes tonight, Dan.
You'd basically have the full trifecta of sorts of casting Saints varsity titles once this one's complete. But you definitely picked a very, very good time of the year to start learning League of Legends. Of course, we've been spoiled every morning. Worlds is going on, and there's just so much League of Legends competitive content happening, and that's just the pro scene, but we still have plenty of collegiate action happening still here pretty much every night. So looking forward to this one. As of right now, St. Clair in NECC currently sitting at a standings of, I believe, 2-1. Meanwhile, Grandview University, the JV squad, 1-1, looking to obviously essentially tie a record and send us down to 2-2. But with the season just continue on forward, let's see if our Saints can make it 3.
Definitely sounds like a good time. I know the league team has had a pretty good stretch in the past week or so. I think they were at 5-1 last week in terms of wins to losses. So only losing one game out of 6 is really, really big. So that's awesome. And hopefully they can keep that win streak going.
Oh yeah, I remember, I think it was last Friday where we had both the streams going at once, where it was the Saints League team was up against the University of Toronto, Mississauga, I believe.
Yeah.
And that went to Game 3. Because I remember I was bouncing between this stream and the Rainbow Six stream both at the exact same time, because both of those titles were going absolutely nuts. Game 3s and long games at that. Saints were able to close that one out, thankfully, on Friday to bring them into this 2-1 scenario. But if the games are as good as they were last week, then this one should absolutely be a banger as well. We did get the opportunity to kind of peek at some of the skill level or the ranks for solo queue for some of the Grandview University squad. And I mean, of course, solo queue ranks isn't everything, especially in a team environment. But to be fair, they have a pretty stacked squad. They have a couple masters, one grandmaster, and I think the lowest I saw was a plat 1. Not bad.
Yeah,
not bad
that's
at all.
not bad at all. I know we're pretty much in a similar situation. I think our lowest is masters though right now, or maybe diamond.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So it should be a pretty even game on paper. We always say that.
You said it, not me.
I know, the caster's curse. It always haunts us. But yeah, it should be a pretty close match. Looks like everybody is already getting ready in the nest here as well. So we can kind of see just kind of relaxing, getting ready for this first draft pick.
Absolutely, yeah. Draft's going to be right around the corner. I believe we'll be going into pro draft to start things off just momentarily. However, a couple things I guess to kind of take note of going into this next match. I know for the past couple of weeks there was a lot of hype around the Curse of the Sad Bullet Time, which is that Misfortune plus Amumu bot lane combo. Just a wombo combo of ultimates, just able to clear lanes nice and quickly and take out opponents. But Amumu got hit with a nerf bat a little bit.
Oh, really?
So, will we see Amumu coming out from Fresh, or did they pick something else up? I know, talking to Fresh, he's not sticking to any one character, any one champion. So we could very well see a switch up. That being said, though, Misfortune is still absolutely disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
We'll be seeing a lot of Misfortune, more than likely, probably a priority pick once we get into this draft phase. And then I think the only other thing to keep an eye on specifically is how many bans does Ricky get?
Yes, exactly. I mean, I don't know. I feel like Misfortune has always been very, I don't know. Every time I play League, she's always meta. So I don't know if it's
just lucky timing right
lucky
there.
Timing or what. I remember about a year ago I picked it up, same thing, So yeah, but definitely those bans for Ricky. I know a lot of times it's very common for the other team to try to ban everybody that Ricky is just disgustingly good at, and he always finds another one to bring out. It's like they don't have enough bans for the amount of champs he could just bring out.
Yeah, we've seen, I think, especially in like the first week of NECC and then during NACE as well, it's like, okay, if you ban 3 of Ricky's champions, then maybe you could find him on something that you can like go even or even beat him in lane with. But if you don't dedicate all of those bans to Ricky up in the top lane, then all of a sudden you're leaving yourself wide open to just get pushed around in lane and going to require a lot of jungler help. Some teams have been able to manage it though. Some, however, all of a sudden now Ricky's 9-0, diving your tower, just pushing R and just or rolling on the floor all the way to the bank. So, like, it's a very hit or miss to say the least.
Absolutely. I know every time watching the stream, whether it's here or from home, the chat's always talking about Ricky. Definitely one of the star players, I would say, from St. Clair. So we'll have to see what he ends up playing today, as well as Fresh. Like you said, he doesn't always stick to the same thing. I mean, he was playing a Mumu, I do believe, a little bit last week. But we're probably going to see him change something up, because I have a feeling we're going to see something new. Or maybe something that we haven't seen for a week or two now.
Very, very possibly. I know like we gave a lot of love to Ricky there, but we also do have to give a big shout out, of course, to everybody else on the Saints roster. Like we have, of course, E-Thug or E-Hug in game, who, even though he plays like not necessarily unconventional junglers, but there's been many times too where E-Hug has been just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than Ricky, just from the jungler role. I know personally watching E-Hug on the Talon and the Nidalee was absolutely nuts. Of course, knowing that the AP Nidalee days are over, but still seeing one of those spears delete like half of a squishy's health is absolutely nuts. And then going down to mid lane, of course, we got Zephyrat, where like he has just been quietly getting exactly what he needs to done, usually winning or going even in lane. And then all of a sudden, here comes the big team fights, and he finds his opportunities. And it's exactly what we need to see. And then Barlow, I mean, we've definitely had ourselves a bit of a couple of, some games seem like a bit of a slow start.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to get at. However, like true nature of the AD carry, as soon as like the late game really rolls around, though, his positioning starts to shape up a little bit. Lane wise, gets maybe a little bit overzealous every once in a while, but once it gets into that mid to late game phase, you'll expect Barlow to really turn it on.
Absolutely. I've seen a little bit of Fresh, like some of his clips as well, from support, and he seems to be like pretty solid, pretty consistent, as well, working with Barlow there on the bot lane. But yeah, I mean, we've seen a little bit of Taekyung. I think it was his first game was Friday, right?
I think it was last Friday, and they gave him Galio, which is exactly what I love to see, because that was his go-to, like main character. Like if all characters are on the table, not banned away, Galio, and it's just the ultimate like tanky supporter, but yet still does a decent chunk of damage too. So like, it was awesome to get to see Tyler hop on the Galio and have a very convincing win. I know they swapped them out for game number 2, but it's like, okay, game 1, you dominated. You could feel good about that one, to say the least.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're going to have to see very shortly kind of like what exactly we're going to have for the draft pick here. But, I mean, some of the predictions we already talked about, right, was we're probably going to see a misfortune from maybe St. Clair? I don't know if they played her last time, like last week or not, but I think
somebody's picking them first, or picking her first, is what I'm going to be expecting. And sure enough, we do have Saints on the right side this time. It is going to be Grandview on the left, so we'll get to see on the opposing side. Grandview JV, Platypus up in the top lane, Learning Brain going to be in the jungle, Kivy going to be the mid laner, Deer Vista as the AD carry or bot lane carry, and Dread Joker going to be on support.
Sounds good. We did see a little bit of bans come through already. I didn't see the first one, but we had a Mumu, we had Galio, we had Jarvan. Did you remember what the first one was, Dan?
For what was it, sorry?
The first ban that Ricky did? I know we had...
Instantly got Lucian off the table, it looks like.
Yes.
And okay, Coach Yuri Blazin warned me that this could possibly be a thing here. So Graves got changed up a little bit. Used to be kind of like just a mediocre jungler for a little while after being dominant for so long. But now they've adjusted them in a way that they could play them in top lane. And as soon as Grandview first picked the Graves, sure enough, we get to see Jace, my boy, coming in here. And that's probably going to be Ricky picking him up in that regard. Possible hard counter in that regard, because Jace could basically all in the Graves and do massive trades that the Graves can't really keep up with.
Absolutely. Ooh, Akali. I was not really expecting that, to be honest. I haven't seen much Akali in any of the games that I've watched recently of Saints.
No, but looking at the draft on the side of Grandview, all of Saints' counter picks here, to be honest, does make sense. The Syndra going to be coming out here from Kivi, it looks like. I don't see that Syndra getting picked in any other lanes as of late. And the one thing that Syndra absolutely despises are characters that could just jump on her even after, like, maybe possibly dodging the stun. And you have Talon to deal with, you have Jace to deal with, you have Akali to deal with it. And now, as we see the wrap-up here, it is going to be Ezreal and Yuumi getting picked up, and oh boy.
Oh, that's solid.
Kivi, good luck, my friend. This is going to suck. Like, there is so much dive coming for you that this is going to be scary. I like what the rest of Grandview ended up doing here, and of course, just kind of like double checking myself. So they must have done this draft prior to seeing it here in clients, but I'm just curious as to what the actual order itself would have been, because it just seems like Saints were absolutely able to counterpick pretty much everything. I'm going to, if I were to guess a prediction right off of this draft, Saints are taking this one.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I just, looking at the picks, like I said, I'm still fairly new to League of Legends, but some of the picks from St. Clair, that is so solid. Like you said, they could jump on that Syndra, like pretty much anybody from that team could jump onto Syndra, and it's game over, right?
Yeah.
Like,
she has one push.
Exactly.
That's it.
Can't stop all of them.
Absolutely. And like, so many assassins. This is a dive composition if I've ever seen it. That being said, though, it did look like Grandview JV. At least, I'm guessing a little bit later in the draft, they started picking some safer things with a little bit of extra mobility. Like, even like looking at the Graves, okay, he at least has a dash, and if you do want to jump into somebody, Graves has a shotgun. This is what he's made for. Now, you also have the Ezreal Yuumi. Of course, Yuumi being able to attach to basically any friendly champion means that she's going to be completely safe for the entirety of the time that person is alive. And then you have him paired up with Ezreal, so like, stay back in the fight, poke away. You have a teleport if you absolutely need to get out of dodge. So, in theory, the mid lane might be rough here for Grandview, but everything else seems pretty solid, actually, still.
Absolutely. Yeah, it should be a very interesting game we have ahead of us here. I'm kind of excited to see how these champions will interact in this game here. I mean, we weren't quite expecting picks like that. I mean, we were expecting the Misfortune. We were expecting kind of like a general idea of what we were going to see today, but like, I wasn't expecting a comp like that out of St. Clair.
You called that there would be new things.
True.
From the support. We didn't expect to see new things from pretty much essentially across the board. But we did take a look at some of the bans, like for Ricky specifically, the Jax instantly taken off the board, the Aatrox taken off the board, and I think there was one other as well. So making Ricky flex on over to the Jace. Honestly, not the tankiest of picks, and if there's one thing that the Saints are going to struggle with, is as much as they are a pick composition, assassination composition, they can also be singled out and assassinated just as easily. Extremely squishy characters, with the only one like really ready to lead the charge being fresh on that Leona. That's the only tank, and even then, like, the Leona has to worry about building like support items, so she's not going to be necessarily the tankiest of engaged champions. That being said, though, lots of engage, lots of dive. If you can make this a 4v5 before the fight even starts, you're probably in good shape.
Absolutely, especially when it comes to like end game, when you're going up against Baron. You know, that's going to be the moment that's going to make or break it. When you have that 5 people right there, that 5 stack, jump on to the enemy team. If they get 1 kill, then it's just going to snowball at that point.
But then thinking about objectives as well, I feel like the dedicated 5-on-5 is the best opportunity for Grandview
Yeah.
because let's get them all bunched up together. If somehow a Kivi on the Syndra doesn't get blown up instantly, the possibility of AoE damage across multiple squishy targets
Oh,
is like a mage's fantasy right there. Like that's exactly the kind of plays that you'd be looking for. Seeing the purple orbs just pop up and like deal like a quarter damage to 3 characters all at once. Like those setups can very well happen as we get towards like multiple dragon fights, like barons and so on and so forth. So this is going to get bloody. This is going to get volatile, and I'm absolutely excited for it.
absolutely. I think what might be the best chance for the Saints is to if they're in the position to take that fight like with Baron, jump on that Syndra first, get rid of her while she's down, then go for it. If Grandview ends up coming up behind them, then they could take that 5v4 probably a lot easier than if that Syndra was there. But I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out.
And I'm going to give Grandview the benefit of the doubt here, that they know that this is exactly what the Saints are going to want here. You have the Yuumi that could jump to the Syndra if need be. You have the we didn't even really necessarily touch on Learning Brain, but he's got the Viego there as well. Decent damage, relatively decent tank as well. And then if you're expecting that everybody's just going to dive the Syndra, put everybody on top of Syndra essentially,
Exactly.
and just peel like crazy. To be fair, the tankiness level for Grandview isn't necessarily the strongest either, but they do have burst damage as well. The only thing, though, is if they do end up clumping up, we know Barlow has that bullet time ready, and that is like one of the best AoE damage ultimates in the game. So definitely going to be something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Everybody's just kind of getting set up here. We're going to see Barlow kind of walking through jungle here with Misfortune. Probably going to help out with... Actually, sorry. He's going to be helping out here with
There he is, yep.
Fresh and Ehug.
Yeah, so just a standard line of scrimmage start. Basically nobody going to try to pull a trigger on anything cheesy to start things off here. We're playing League, not Overwatch, so we're being nice and simple to start things off here. And to be fair, you really don't want to face check a Leona at level 1.
Oh my goodness, no.
Speaking of face checking, however, Ricky could be in trouble here. That being said, though, 2 abilities compared to the 1 there for Platypus, but the auto attack damage coming out from Platypus is absolutely dominating Ricky. 1 more shot will do the trick. Nothing to do. Ricky, before the minions even get to battling, he's already down once.
Oh my goodness. I was not expecting that. I mean, he couldn't see Platypus in that bush there, but still, like, that all happened so fast. I can't believe Platypus tried to take that fight, but it ended up working in his favor.
And I always underestimate Graves' damage, especially early, and we're showing maybe exactly why Platypus may have favored for this pick in this situation. However, the face check there from Ricky, let's just say overconfidence, to say the least there. It's so scary to do that, and unfortunately that's exactly why you just get punished, and there's not a whole heck of a lot you can really do if you get jumped on first.
Absolutely. So everybody's just kind of farming at the beginning here. It doesn't look like too many big fights. I don't want to jinx it. I mean, looks like Desperate is kind of going after Kivi here. But, you know, there is a little bit of difference in gold since Grandview did manage to get that kill onto Ricky. So they are at 4.3, so they have a little bit of an advantage over St. Clair right now.
Yeah, the big difference, however, though, is yes, Platypus did get that first blood there, but we did just kind of see there just a second ago with the gold. He didn't go back because the minions were already in lane. So in theory, Ricky and Platypus are still fighting on an even playing field. If anything, by Ricky going back, he got himself a cookie. So he has some more healing for some of this like possible trading up in the top lane, and Ricky could probably, just with mechanics alone, get himself back up to even. And in fact, it did force Platypus to go back. As you do see a jump here, Fresh with a very early game gank here, but it is going to be answered right away. We do have Learning Brain here on the Viego, going to be trying to jump onto Fresh. Zephyrot's in a bit of an awkward spot as well, but he does have the Shroud to kind of keep himself covered up. And with the help of the bush and the flash, he's going to get out a dodge. Fresh looking for a re-engage because Ethug is actually here now. Jumps onto Kivi. There is nothing you can do here. Zephyrot going to get the kill on that one. Get that Akali up ahead, but even more battling happening here as Learning Brain is just going to send it for a second there. flashing through, but is eventually going to think wisely and think a little bit better of it. So 1-1 in regards to eliminations to start things off. We have ourselves basically an even game again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I thought for sure Barlow was going to die there, but he was able to run super fast back to his turret. Thank goodness for him. I mean, he was all alone against 3 people. But, again, even playing field, still anybody's game here. You know, we got to see 2 ganks from St. Clair there back at Grandview, so that's interesting. Oh, Zephyros actually gets stopped by Learning Brain here as well.
Okay, so good return gank there from Learning Brain, as was able to like blow the flash from Zephyros in that initial gank. So just came right back, like took it like it was nobody's business, and now they take the lead in regards to eliminations once again. And the smallest of gold leads, but of course, not going to worry about that too much until we get a little bit further into this round.
Absolutely. It's still a very early game, so like anything could flip-flop at this moment. So it's not as important as later game when you see, you know, big differences in gold and people's levels and everything. So looks like we might have ourselves another team fight here, actually. Fresh is going to run away here with Barlow, but Viego going to try to come in and take both of them. They're both half health. Running back to the turret, it seems like they're going to be safe for now.
Okay, Freshest being the ultimate support in that situation there, just standing in front of Barlow, making sure any of Deer Vista's mystic shots from that Ezreal is just going to hit the tank instead. E-Hug maybe finding himself a little bit of an overextension in the opposing side's jungler. One more launch over the cliffs, and the beauty of talent, ladies and gentlemen, able to escape with his life with next to nothing.
I was not expecting E-Hug to get out of there, gonna be real.
Any other champ.
He had just a
dead.
sliver of health, but he was able to just climb over those walls.
And we're going to see ourselves a small little engagement in the mid lane. I don't think anything too much is going to come from this, but I would absolutely love to be wrong. Zephyros getting himself a little bit into the danger zone, however. Thankfully there for Zephyros, even though he hit 6, Kivi did not, so there was no ultimate available there for the Syndra. Fresh is going to make a trip down to, or up to the top lane, and that's a good chunk of burst damage, but can Fresh survive? He is not going to survive that one. The tower is going to get the last laugh, and that's going to open things up with Barlow all by himself in the bot lane, which means Learning Brain going to make another return trip down to bot lane, and he has been absolutely fantastic at getting return ganks after he's blown flashes.
Absolutely. So St. Clair is going to need to probably grab some items, group up, you know, get ready to take this next fight. I mean, E-Hug is running away. He's being stunned. Fresh coming in to save him again. Ultimate support Fresh. Thank goodness. And it looks like they might try to take a re-engage here because they do not. E-Hug does not want them stealing his blue buff there.
No, but he's also not 6 yet, so he's not going to be invisible. He's just going to feed this one over. Actually, no, he's going to beat Barlow a little bit. Unfortunately, Barlow is going to go down. Fresh one more shot as well. And this is the terrifying position here for St. Clair. 6 eliminations on the board here for Grandview. 3 of them onto the Viego. Like, this is going to be scary. He's gotten so many kills. He hasn't even gone back for his items yet. He has 3K in the bank. Same thing with Platypus. Like, this is absolutely insane.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit scary if you're St. Clair right now. But, however, the gold is only about 1K difference, so it's not too bad yet. But in terms of levels and in terms of kills here, I mean, St. Clair is a little bit behind.
And just as a correction, I'm a bit of a bot. The bracket was how much they've made total in this game. The number of golds that they have is actually right beside it. So they did eventually, they went and spent all of the golds. But that being said, the Learning Brain still, up until this point, didn't go back for any items. So now it's going to be coming back here hitting like an absolute truck. And that is going to be scary to deal with here for St. Clair. They're going to have to really just kind of be patient here. Maybe wait for picks around objectives, and you really don't want to take a 5v5 at this point. Not at all.
Absolutely. I mean, because of the difference in levels, GVU is a little bit ahead right now, so like you got to be pretty careful with that. Looks like Learning Brain is going to... Oh, he just gets a red buff here. You know, it's still pretty slow, kind of farming, trying to get a pick here or there when available. So maybe we'll see a fight here. It looks like we are seeing a little bit of aggression here from Akali.
Yeah, Zephrod is kind of pushed up a little bit, and it does have a lot to do with the fact that E-Hug is right here. However, he's about to be collapsed upon. Thankfully there for E-Hug, the stun does not come out. But Kibby, this is exactly what I was talking about, getting pops. But that being said, E-Hug pops basically just as fast after the burst damage coming out here from Platypus. Ricky is going to show up to the fight, and a little bit of miscommunication. Zephrod nearly goes down, but possibly a bit of a one-on-one here. We've seen Ricky try this one earlier on, but Platypus got the better of them. But as that fight was happening in the top lane, the Wind Dragon was taken. Learning Brain able to take it by himself, essentially there, maybe with the help of the bot lane ever so slightly. But that's going to be one Wind Drake already in the pocket of Grandview.
I'm going to be completely honest. I was so busy watching the other fight, I did not even realize that the Wind Drake was there. Oh, Platypus gets taken down by Ricky here. Ricky moving down to the mid lane to help out a little bit. Wasn't expecting that either.
I mean, that's exactly what Ricky needs to do here on this Jace. Just constantly wait for your cooldowns to come up. Once they're there, go in, burst, then you try to disengage as fast as you can.
Absolutely.
Wait for them to come back in, burst, disengage. And thankfully there, when going up against Platypus, basically 2 combos, and it took him down. Caught Platypus maybe feeling a little bit too comfortable. Yeah, you have 3 eliminations, but that's not the end-all be-all, as we do see a bit of a bait coming out here. Bullet time, going to get some value as it goes across multiple members. And we're going to have ourselves a bit of a one-on-one here, or 1-for-1 rather, and that is going to be Learning Brains basically taking the form of Leona and charging on forward all the way to the tier 2 towers and taking down Barlow in the end. This Viego is an absolute menace, and it has Dread Joker right there as well, of course. The stealthy little Yuumi, but makes everything that looks like a 1-on-1 actually a 2-on-1.
E-Hug gonna try to take out Kippy, and he does. Very nice little gank onto him. E-Hug has to get out of the way of those towers, though, because they're gonna pick away at him.
Oh yeah, this is a little bit rough here. Learning Brain diving onto Zephrod. Thankfully there, the smoke screen gonna be coming out here for Zephrod. Just gonna try and pick up a couple minions. Will that cost him his life? No, it will not. Thankfully there for the side of St. Clair, but what do we have coming up next? Still another 3 minutes before the next dragon coming up. There's gonna be the Ocean Drake, and we do see Shelly coming to take a turret plate or 2. Must have been taken by E-Hug and Ricky at some point during the altercation towards the bot lane or mid lane. And a little bit of quiet time now before the storm.
Absolutely. I mean, there's always this little bit of time in League, you know, where in the beginning maybe there's a few fights or something, and then it's just going to be kind of slow. Everybody's getting that last little bit of gold they need for items, maybe trying to take out one of the Drakes. But yeah, oh, Ricky actually going to jump onto Platypus here. Platypus trying to get away. Ricky a little bit behind him. Don't know if he can really take advantage of this. We're going to actually flip back down to mid lane while we wait.
That's the problem, though. Like, yes, Ricky had the exact positioning, like landed the first shot, got the jump, so much burst damage. Then you're just kind of melee form with a hammer, and you have nothing that you can do for a couple seconds. And it's such a tease. You're sitting there, or your opponent's sitting there with less than half HP, but you don't have the move to finish the job here. And unfortunately, like, Ricky's just not quite far enough ahead to just burst Platypus's graves, which might be, like, a little frustrating, but at least you push him out of lane and make him lose some gold.
Absolutely. I mean, he was kind of forced to recall for a little bit there, so, I mean, got a little bit of something out of it, but we'll have to see what happens.
Crabs, buffs, and where is the dragon? Not quite there. Another minute and 30 seconds left on that one. And my goodness, this we did kind of predict that this was going to be a bit of an elimination-heavy game. As we see, maybe another possibility here. Fresh is going to go in, gets the stun. However, Barlow a little bit out of range to possibly capitalize. So just a little bit of poke damage and moving on forward. Zephrod is not going to be long for this world. This is actually the 3-on-1. Going to be trying to juke into the jungle and try to run for their life. How many dashes do you have? Blast cones and everything. Teleport. There's no stuns here right now, I do not think. Never mind. Yep, it did get interrupted. So Zephrod is going to be more than likely passing this kill off to somebody here. Could be number 6 for Learning Brain. Sure enough, that is going to be the case here. So massive bounty on the head of Learning Brain right now. Currently sitting 6 eliminations, no deaths, and 1 assist.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Learning Brain has gotten like most of the kills this game so far. We've seen him take a lot of engages onto St. Clair here. Like every time, I feel like we're calling his name out. So yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, speaking of the devil, coming on through once again, but it was a 1-on-2, so going to opt against it there. Had it just been Learning Brain and Barlow, that very well could have been a combo that Learning Brain might have taken. Both fresh there, ready with the stun, the shield bash ready to go. Wise to back out of it. That does allow another dragon to possibly slip under the nose of St. Clair. Because Learning Brain's so far ahead that he can just keep on soloing these dragons, and Saints are none the wiser.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary there. That Saints have let 2 dragons go, but maybe they have a strategy of some sort and a reason to kind of not worry too much about the dragons. Maybe they're going to try to go for Baron shortly, but we'll have to see.
Now, of course, the soul being revealed to be the Mountain Soul, but I'm going to hang on to that for just a second. Barlow find himself between a rock and a hard place. Rather, 3 rocks or something like that, plus the wall, because there was just so many members of Grandview right there to jump on top of them. Another rough start here for Barlow. Is looking like currently the 1 elimination and 4 deaths. Keeping it even in regards to CS, so still getting a decent chunk of gold. But it definitely is going to hurt being out of lane as often as he has been so far in this first game.
Yeah, looks like we're going to see one of the turrets on the side of St. Clair get destroyed. So Grandview is in a pretty good place. They are up 1 turret compared to St. Clair. And, I mean, gold's about even for teams, but the kills, I mean, 11-6, that can get a little scary.
Yeah, and this is where the part where I always would tell the esports students is like, yes, like if you look at the eliminations specifically, it looks like Saints are getting dominated right now. But in every other way, the Saints are at least keeping up. They, like momentum-wise and morale, they probably feel like garbage right now. But to be fair, this is still anybody's game, like you were saying. Like Zephrot, not necessarily ready to try and take this one-on-one, which is definitely disappointing. The Graves would, in the past, have been a kind of target that they wouldn't have minded from be chasing after. But with only the 1 elimination and 1 assist, and knowing how solid Platypus had for the start of the game, wise to just back off, kind of let them be, opt for minions instead, and just try to stay out of range of that shotgun.
Absolutely. Zephrot gonna actually stand by the turret here. Ethug looks like he's gonna try to go maybe for a flank here in a minute, waiting for that perfect opportunity because Yuumi is up there. But Saints just kind of trying to hold their ground here.
Yeah, the benefit there is Ethug did also drop Shelly. The Rift Herald did end up making an appearance, and it does give Saints the 2nd turret kill for themselves, which means they finally have this all tied up in regards to turrets, 2 taken down on each side. So with that, Saints are actually barely going to be in the lead, but of course, like very, very minimally, as we do see actually number 3 going down. It looks like Ricky was doing a little bit of work down in the bot lane. And to be fair, as crazy as Platypus has been and Learning Brain, everybody else has been solid, but maybe not necessarily a standout. As we do see to engage, this is exactly where you want to see a bullet time. Nice and narrow corridors. Barlow going to be loving that. So you do see Ricky diving on through, but there we go again. Learning Brain going to find the 1 elimination. Fresh going to be dived upon. Kibby is still alive in this fight alongside Learning Brain and the long-range stun, and that's going to be Learning Brain changing into Leona to get some additional crowd control. There's a fight in the top lane as well. Learning Brain triple kill down in the bot side, and Zephrot is going to be the last man standing here for the Saints as Grandview take the slightest of leads after a fantastic team fight.
Yeah, that team fight kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, I thought, I wasn't sure that we were going to have a fight that early, but it did end up working out well for Grandview with that 3K there. I mean, Learning Brain, I think that was his, right?
Yeah, he got himself the triple, now sitting at 9 eliminations in
Oh
this
my
game.
goodness.
But look at that bounty, 700 gold is on the head of Learning Brain for whoever on the Saints takes them down first, which could be absolutely beautiful if the opportunity comes around. But at the same time, though, Learning Brain has just been so evasive and so like stealthy that like no one's really been able to get the jump on him. And we see here Ehug, is he biting off a little bit more than he can chew? I think so. Platypus, hang on, one more ulti coming out here from the side of Ehug, and okay, that fight, Platypus is just going to be spamming question marks on the map for that one, as Ehug went for a battle, but unfortunately was not quite ready for it. He walked up close to a shotgun. That's massive damage.
Yeah, it's a little bit questionable. I mean, there was a 2-level difference between the two. But you know what? I think he had faith in his decision there for a moment. But it's all good. We live and we learn.
I'm going to try and catch a lone Yuumi without anybody to attach to. Never mind. Sure enough, of all people to show up to play, it's the one person you don't want to see. It's going to be Learning Brain, but also alongside Dear Vista as well. And Vista is going to be able to pick up that kill as well. And honestly, good that he did, because you don't want to front load all the gold onto one player. Ricky nearly finding Learning Brain, but again, just the evasiveness of this Viego is just absolutely coming in clutch here. And sure enough, Mountain Drake's up. Are we going to see Dragon number 3 go over to Grandview basically uncontested? Oh, no, we're actually going to fight for it, looks like.
Looks like we're going to have a bit of a team fight here. St. Clair backing up a bit. I think they're going to try to go for the steal rather than try to take this team fight here.
3 and 5, though.
Yeah, exactly. It's getting very low, but it ends up that Grandview will be taking the next Drake. I do believe that's 3 for them now.
Yep, that's 3. We've got the Drakes of many colors up on the top there, and that means there's only one more until the Mountain Soul is in the hands of Grandview. And if I recall correctly, that's something in regards to damage to structures going up. So as if you want any other like soul, the Mountain Soul like that can just destroy buildings so quickly, which of course at the end of the day, destroying structures is the end game for League of Legends, right? So you can easily tear through. I can only imagine the damage Learning Brain would be able to do here, as we do see Ehug again. Pegan does end up getting the blue, but really risking it for like small victories.
Absolutely. I feel like Ehug maybe trying to get something to work and nothing's quite sticking. I'm not 100% sure, but Zephyros is actually going to wait here for Learning Brain. His team is there to back him up on it, but Learning Brain will jump over that wall. The bullet time comes out, but it doesn't seem to catch him. He's going to get away.
That's like a scene out of the Matrix there. Just every ultimate is coming out here, but Learning Brain's just like shrugging it off, not looking in the slightest. Cool guys don't look at explosions, apparently.
Exactly.
But now they're just going to absolutely flip this on this head. They know Saints literally blew every resource possible to try and get an overextension onto Learning Brain, which is absolutely going to make this fight easy peasy lemon squeezy. And now that means that this Baron is basically going to be for free if they wanted it. There's no vision on it at all.
Yeah, there's the rest of St. Clair kind of spread out. I don't know if they can make it there in time, maybe 1 or 2. But, I mean, Zephyros going to come in here, maybe looking for a steal, because that's about all they can really hope for at this point. He's just going to kind of bounce around here and see what happens. Oh, Barlow gets taken down by Platypus. Well, Zephyros is waiting.
I mean, they're going to sack themselves here, but at the same time, they may have stalled this Baron up just enough. If Ehug goes down, that very well could be a problem, though. Does not actually have Smite available at this opportunity here, so Ehug would be relying strictly off of ability damage. Maybe a little bit of crowd control to come out of Fresh as well. Does Fresh have the ult? He does have the Solar Flare, so he could very well find the stun onto Learning Brain and maybe dive onto the Baron pit. Ricky, where'd you come from, man? He's going to absolutely blow up Kivy. But that's not necessarily the main target in this situation. But they're slowly but surely denying this Baron. But at the same time, they are giving up a lot of gold in eliminations. And I think they're going to just take this anyway because Learning Brain's too fed.
Absolutely. Looks like after Grandview slays the Baron, they're going to want to try to make a push up into the St. Clair side of the map. And go for the Nexus. I mean, everybody's kind of channeling and maybe go back for some heals and then group up and go for the top side of the map.
Yeah, Grandview just absolutely got like the ultimate amount of value within that last 5 minutes. They got so many eliminations, and now this is the kind of kill feed where if I see this, I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is kind of troublesome. When it was 11, like 11-7 or something like that, it's like, okay, not the end of the world, that's fine. 23-9 on the other hand. This is where things start to get a little bit scary. The saving grace for Saints is that like 90% of this gold is all onto the Viego, all onto Learning Brain. And if they can somehow focus them down, and if you want to blow all ultimates on somebody, it would be Learning Brain. But you have to make it stick, and that's going to be difficult when the Yumi's on top of them, but they're going to try anyway. Bullet time, firing on through, but it's only going to get about halfway through. Unstoppable, he's going to hang on for dear life. That being said, though, one-on-one to start things off. Ricky is going to find one, but it's going to be Kivy in the background. They're so focused on Learning Brain that this is allowing Kivy to go absolutely nuts in the background. And that's the one person as well who is, even though they're not necessarily fed, they have so much burst damage as well that they might as well be a threat.
Yeah, it looks like St. Clair a little bit behind here. I mean, yeah, they were able to pick up a few fights there in the or a few kills there in that last fight. But, I mean, now would be the perfect time for GVU to group up and push the base of St. Clair.
Yeah, because what is really next? Okay, actually, the final piece of their soul puzzle here for Dragon is coming up in 10 seconds. The final Mountain Drake. The Saints know it. We do see Fresh. I think that's Barlow alongside him. They're rushing towards this. They know if they give this away that having the permanent buff of the Dragon Soul would be absolutely terrifying to try and deal with. They're already over 6k down, and this Dragon's just getting shredded. I don't think there's anything that the Saints can do to stop this. Dragon Soul in the pocket of Grandview University. Sephiroth going to try this one-on-one. It's not going to happen here. Assassin versus Shotgun. It looks like Shotgun's going to win this day with one small little combo of more than likely just auto attacks. Really finishing the job. Learning Brain just going to pick up number 13 just for the heck of it at this point here. And now the 5-on-4 with Soul and Baron. This is terrifying.
Yeah, this looks like it's about gonna be it here, Dan, unless St. Clair can flip things on its head here. I mean, when they get to this point where they're pushing the Nexus area here, I mean, it's very... Usually the game snowballs from there. It goes very quickly. We're actually gonna see Platypus getting a few kills here. Gonna push up further, but gonna have to wait for Learning Brain to help him out here. Oh, Fresh gets jumped in on over here. Little bit more damage from Learning Brain is going to do it and take him out. GVU doing really good here. They're up a few people. If they can afford to take out these inhibitors and this one last turret, they should be good to go.
I mean, in any other situation, in any other game, if you can manage to get the stun onto somebody like Learning Brain, you just go for it. But unfortunately, just the entire team at this point just shreds through everything. This is where only having the one like relatively tanky member being Fresh here like really is going to throw the Saints for a loop, because you can't necessarily have that rock, that pillar to kind of rely on to maybe try to negate some of the damage there from the side of Grandview. And it's just a matter of the time at this point here. We are borderline 10k behind Grandview University, up 10k rather. 7 turrets down. Like, in regards to resources, gold, just everything seems to be going in the favor of Grandview, and the 2 inhibitors might be the start of an icing on the cake kind of situation.
Absolutely. I thought they were just going to push all the way into the base, but they've already taken out 2 out of the 3 inhibitors. So they're in a pretty good position, GVU, for whenever they're ready to take this next push. I think they could take it, potentially. I mean, we are seeing some flags down on the map on the top left, so I'm assuming that means GVU is going to group up and try to push that top lane and get the last inhibitor and then push the Nexus.
It's very possible. The other thing to keep in mind as well is within a minute or so, Baron does return. So the ultimate safe play is, like you were saying, to maybe put a little bit of pressure while the super minions are dealing with bot and mid lane. Maybe push that top tier 2 We're going to have to see here. Dear Vista getting himself a little bit caught off guard, but Zephyros is getting extremely low. Some decent damage coming out, and okay, finally, Ricky does show up and just absolutely pop Dear Vista. But the fight is continuing on. Platypus off to the side alongside Kivy. Kivy does end up going down. If there's any sort of situation to maybe bring yourself back here, now is the time, but they now have to deal with Learning Brain, and he just has too much damage. He has too much bulk. I'm not sure if like 3 of the Saints would be able to deal with it right now. Let alone a lone Barlow with 1 shot away from going down. As we see, like, this Viego just absolutely going nuts here. Zephyros going to be trying to dance around alongside E-Hug. They might be able to get Platypus, but I don't think they are going to take care of Learning Brain in this situation. Does manage to get a shut down, so small victories. However, the ace does come through. And of course, the last 2 standing, the Viego and his cat.
Oh, E-Hug has left the game here. It looks like it is the end of the game.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so without question, an absolutely insane performance coming out here from Grandview University, especially, I mean, we said Learning Brain a million times, but it's just because, what was that, 16-0 and 11?
I think so. Something like that. It was pretty crazy.
So guess which champion's getting banned next game?
Yeah, I was about to say, I mean, 16-0 and 11, that is absolutely insane. He was a part of pretty much every single kill that game. If he wasn't doing it himself, he was helping out, and he didn't die once, so that's a pretty impressive play there from Learning Brain, but overall, a great game. Lots to learn from, and hopefully St. Clair can try to take the next game in our best 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
our best out of 3.
Like the fact that like up until the Barons really started spawning, so just after like 20 minutes, even though like Learning Brain was going absolutely nuts, and then like Platypus was doing solid, everybody on GVU was doing solid, gold-wise Saints were still right there, but you can tell that something just felt off, and that is kind of the situation we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, where if you are like down on eliminations, just you feel like the momentum's not in your favor. And of course, you don't necessarily know what you're ahead in gold when you're the players, right? We get the luxury of seeing that.
Yes.
But the players, like, they won't necessarily know that. So by constantly being taken out over and over and over and over again, like, that must like be like a kick in the shins just constantly, right? When even though you don't realize that like they're still mortal. But unfortunately, just these fights did not go at all in Saints' favor. They played a very difficult composition, the pick composition, with lots of squishies that requires like basically winning the fight before it even starts.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they could not get into a position to line up anything. Like, unfortunately, I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but like taking a look at some of the lines or some of the players this time by, like the early face check there from Ricky, that was definitely unfortunate to say the least. E-Hug could not get anything started, really. Did find maybe a couple of picks in like the early to like mid game, but unfortunately it was just being met everywhere by Learning Brain, and like Learning Brain of course ended up getting ahead. Zephyros, the Akali, did not quite hit the mark as well as expected because I think they were focusing too hard on the Syndra. And because Learning Brain was going nuts, it means everybody was focusing Learning Brain, which let Kivy just sit in the back and toss orbs for days. And then Barlow, the big thing with Misfortune, of course, is the bullet time, and I don't think we saw one hit its target properly this entire game. I'll give props to Fresh, though. Like, he had the right ideas, being the lone tank, lone engage on that squad, but unfortunately just fell behind as well to the point where even the Leona was squishy, and that was a very, very difficult position to try and play from. I'm kind of hoping for game number 2 that rather than this really assassin-y pick style, that Saints go something maybe a little bit more standard.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. We'll have to see what they pick this next game. So for now, are we just waiting on the next draft pick, or?
Very possible. If we do end up getting the call for the break, we'll definitely send it to one in a second. But I think the players might have taken 5. We'll have to see in just a moment. But I do want to give, of course, a quick thank you while we do wait to hear the calls to, first off, our sponsors. Of course, Tim Horton, Subway, and of course, Crunchyroll being one of them as well. Of course, the 14-day premium trial, crunchyroll.com/Saints Saints if you want to get involved on the Netflix of anime. I know personally I still need to get on top of that myself. Of course, only watching maybe 1 or 2 in my lifetime. I need to add a couple more to my repertoire, to say the least. So be sure to join us here, and thanking Crunchyroll at crunchyroll.com/saints.
Absolutely. I know I'm a big fan of Crunchyroll myself here. Also, thank you to our other sponsors, Tim Hortons, Subway, the St. Clair SRC, St. Clair College Alumni Association, and the Zekelman School of Business. Thank you very much for supporting the stream. Without you, we could not do what we do here. I do believe we're going into another draft pick without a break here very shortly, so that's going to be interesting.
I mean, I always used to give the old Rocket League team heck for this. After you go through a loss, why not take the moment to just regroup? Never mind the fact for giving commentators like a water break or something. Of course, we're used to this at this point.
Oh, yeah.
But
we live here, so.
yeah, we have our own little corner. We stay here most of the day, but we love it nonetheless. But like when you get taken down in a relatively convincing fashion, why not take the 5 minutes that you're allowed and just, you know what, like settle down, regroup, get yourself a breather, run to the washroom or something if you have to, and just like don't throw yourself right into it right away, because like if anything, it's like, okay, no, I'm warmed up, I want to go. GVU is feeling like they're on cloud 9 right now. They're like, yes, let's keep going. I want to do that again. And like you're giving yourself a little bit of a trap, sort of say. A little bit of a disadvantage, but we'll have to see, of course. It could be just them doing the picks and bans, and then everybody else is still taking a break, which I guess in that sense, they'd be doing the best of both worlds.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I definitely agree with you, because I know even playing Overwatch, in my experience for varsity, when we lost a game, if we didn't have a quick break, sometimes it was very much like we'd snowball. You get the perma tilt, and then it's, and then that happens for any esport, really. Like in my experience, like seeing a lot of the players here in the Nest, once you lose a game, you feel bad. You feel like, oh, there's so many things I should have done, and you're just thinking about it, going into the next game. You haven't had time to kind of process it. Okay, this next game, I'm gonna play this character. I'm gonna do this better, etc., etc. When you go straight into the next game, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to kind of distance yourself from the game for a second and be like, hey, I messed up on this, this, and this. We need to think of ways to counter this, and process it.
It's like I'm trying to think, like, how does this draft like go for? Like, I know at the beginning, once we saw the draft there last time by, I'm like, oh yeah, the Saints won this off draft alone. This is why draft isn't necessarily everything. But we can always theory craft the best we can, and I know personally I love being wrong, especially when I say that, oh, this game's gonna be a blowout, then it ends up being an absolute banger.
Oh yeah.
So, like, at the end of the day, awesome matches are what we're looking for. I'm trying to think, like, how does the Saints respond here? Like, we know the Misfortune is the power pick right now, but I just didn't quite see it. So either one of two things need to happen here. So either like it was just like either Barlow was just straight up whiffing, or there wasn't enough consistency in their combo pieces. And to be fair, like trying to combo the bullet time off of a solar flare, while doable, is a little bit inconsistent because it relies on trying to get the stuns and not the slows.
Exactly.
From the ultimate. And like when I really think of the last game, nobody else had anything that Barlow could have followed up on. Akali's not going to hold anybody together. Talon's like an assassin. He's fending for himself. And then Jace is another one of those like poke into combo into disengage kind of characters. There's nobody really that Barlow could have like maximized the Misfortune for. It was more so picking the Misfortune just so they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And as much as I understand considering the level of Misfortune right now, I almost wish we would have saw something else and just let him have it.
Oh yeah. I definitely agree. I mean, I'd like to see Ricky on Aatrox again. I mean, I'm a big fan of Ricky's Aatrox, but I don't know if we're going to end up seeing that, especially like with bans and the current meta. I'm sure, I don't know if it quite fits into there, but
Yeah, I think in the last game, Aatrox was like the very final ban that Grandview ended up doing there. And we're going to see going through right here. Once again, first ban for the Saints is going to be Illusion. And then Jack's taken off the board once again alongside the Amumu and Jarvan. And sure enough, St. Clair Saints going to be taking away both the combo pieces actually that we kind of saw from Grandview last time by. The Yuumi plus Viego combination is off the board, which did leave open Lee Sin, which is solid, but not like busted. So, not the worst thing in the world here for the Saints.
Yeah, so we're going to see Saints pick Ezreal here for ADC. So that'll be interesting. I mean, I do believe it was Grandview that played him last time, right? So we're going to see a little bit of a swap up there.
Yeah, I think it was Vista who picked him up in the last time by. And by picking up the Ezreal right away, this either signifies like one of two things. Either I'm just playing so safe and just farming with my Qs. I don't want anything to do with you in this bot lane. Or I'm going to try and poke you out. And maybe pick like a somewhat poking, not a hard engage support, but maybe like a mage support or something like that.
Yeah.
Now this pick here, this is an E-Hug Classic. The Kindred is going to come on out here. Does favor the invading of the opponent's jungles and getting aggressive. That being said, though, another extremely squishy character.
Definitely.
We'll have to see if E-Hug could get something started a little bit quicker this time by.
So we're going to see Tristana come out on the side of Grandview. What do you think about that, Dan?
Okay, can't go wrong. Just like you're going up against the Ezreal, which in this case here, to me, like I was saying before, is probably meaning like, hey, I just want to play safe. And then Tristana has the opportunity to kind of dominate the early game a little bit with the proper support, especially aggressive supports. But also she's an absolute late game monster. So it's like, oh, you don't want to do anything but farm? I'm okay doing this as well. And I'm going to outscale you. The longer we go, and this is kind of what I'm concerned about. If they want to get aggressive, the Annie is going to be picked up. I have no idea if this is mid lane or support, but the flex is there to threaten it.
Definitely. We're also going to see Syndra coming out outside of St. Clair. It looks like they were kind of annoyed by the picks last time, and they're going to pick them themselves. That way, you can't have them, but we're going to take them. So we'll have to see how that goes.
And that's really interesting because Syndra is solid, but I didn't think, I wouldn't have called her a power pick, but she's in a better place than a couple weeks ago. I think there was a couple tweaks and maybe made her a little bit better, but going to be interested rather, to see what Zephyrod is able to pull off there, because more than likely, like 90% of the time, that's going to be a mid lane Syndra.
Definitely. So, yeah, we're going to have to figure out what Grandview is going to choose next here. It's going to be interesting. I mean, like we've seen a little bit different comps. St. Clair already stealing 2 of the champs that Grandview had from last game. But Grandview with totally new champs from the previous game.
Okay. These bans are interesting, to say the least here. Zillion, I don't think anybody on Saints really play Zillion, so that feels almost like more of a troll ban, to say the least here. And then Tarek, are they banning out Fresh here? That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
To say the least. You don't usually see the supports kind of targeted, but if this is, you know what? If this is in fact an Annie Tristana burst damage bot lane, the one thing that would stop it is a Tarek and a Zillion. So I'm guaranteeing you, I don't mind being wrong, but I'm guaranteeing you that this Annie is going down bot lane with Trist.
Oh, yeah. I have a feeling about that, too. I mean, it looks like Fresh is going to be choosing Lulu here for support. Actually...
Honestly, I hope it's this. Okay. Because the biggest flaw, again, for Saints as of this point was tankiness. There was absolutely none of it at that point. Getting the Braum, as much as the Lulu would have been going shot for shot in regards to pokes and then having a little bit of shielding for yourself, again, just so squishy. So I like the Braum pickup. Something a little bit safer. And then, of course, Graves is still on the board. So it'd be really nice to see Platypus pick that up again.
Definitely. Looks like that's going to be the case. Grandview going to make their final pick here. Not quite sure what we're going to see, but maybe they'll surprise us again.
So it's either mid lane or support, and it's just a matter, because this Annie can flex to multiple lanes, so they can really mess with you, to say the least here. we'll have to see in a second the Lulu being hovered, and the Lulu is going to end up being locked in. So the biggest question mark right now is this going to be like bot lane Lulu or bot lane Annie? We'll figure that out once we do eventually get into the client side draft to see who's playing what, but this does still allow Saints to have one more pick, and they're needing Ricky's top laner.
Yes, so we're gonna have to see. It looks like we might see Ricky Aatrox, just like I was hoping. So that would be good to see. So hopefully St. Clair will have a little bit more luck with this comp than previous.
Interesting to say the least. I don't know what to think at all. As soon as we get to the client side draft, I'll maybe have a little bit bigger of a picture. But right now, this feels like to me, Grandview is feeling confident to try some new things. Confident to try some really specific bans too. Like you don't see Zillion, you don't see Tarek target bans like that unless they're going for a certain composition that counteracts that, or that those champions would counteract. But I'm very, very curious to say the least.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of times when you see bans, it's a lot of characters, or at least that I see, are a lot of broken characters or characters that you really don't want to play against. So you want to stop the enemy team from choosing them before anything happens, right? But in this case, it's very much very strategic bans in the case of we don't want Fresh to be able to counter us. We're going to make sure he can't do that. So that's interesting to see.
The amount of times that I've almost said Thresh instead of Fresh. The one day that Fresh plays Thresh, I am going to absolutely lose it.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be confusing.
But not on the board this time by here. But of course, it is going to be Fresh on the Braum instead. Now, being able to deal some crowd control himself, and maybe not as much of a hard engage as the Leona. However, if E-Hug is able to come down bot lane for a bunch of assistance, of course, Braum's passive being if you hit the opponent or the same opponent 4 times, that's when the stun occurs, and it's really good with champions that like to auto attack.
Oh yeah.
So having the Kindred and the Ezreal alongside Braum's own auto attacks would really make those stuns happen pretty quickly. But at the same time, I'm not sure. Depending on what this bot lane is, it's either going to be okay, you want to dive in onto us, we'll get you with burst damage too, or it's going to be the Lulu to speed you up and shield you away. We'll have to see.
Definitely. So we're going to see these picks come
Mid-lane
through.
Annie.
I mean, I think we pretty much guessed everybody on St. Clair's roles there.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you're right. Annie mid lane, and then we're probably going to see the Tristana for bot lane.
Yep, more than likely Tristana Lulu down in the bot lane there for Deer Vista and Dread Joker, so they can poke, get a tiny bit aggressive, not as aggressive as a Tristana Annie bot lane, but still enough to kind of equal out the poke that the Ezreal from It's Barlow would be doing. But because Barlow and Fresh, it's the Ezreal Braum, I think they're just going to try and farm it out the best they can. And to be honest, Deer Vista, like I was saying before on the Tristana, probably A-okay with this. As long as E-Hug doesn't come down to gank, I don't think that bot lane is going to be threatened that much at all.
Absolutely. So it looks like we're ready to go here. Again, just going over, Platypus will be on Graves, Learning Brain will be on Lee Sin, Kivi on Annie, Deer Vista on Tristana, and Dread Joker on Lulu. On the side of St. Clair, we're going to see Ricky's classic Aatrox. We're going to see E-Hug on his own classic, Kindred, Zephyros on Syndra, Barlow on Ezreal, and Fresh on Braum.
Yeah, it's interesting. The only character, the only champion making a return here is going to be that Graves there for Platypus. And, honestly, it started off the game fantastic there after the one-on-one there with Ricky. But for the rest of the game, it was one of those cases similar to Kivi where we were talking about Learning Brain so much that Platypus was still having a fantastic game for himself, but slipped completely under the radar, not touched at all during the bans here this time by, which is really interesting because the last couple bans there from St. Clair was Leona and stuff too, a bunch of other things.
Absolutely.
Which, sure, they may have not necessarily wanted to go up against it, but at the same time, He gave Platypus his Graves again, so we'll have to see how that ends up turning out.
I think that it's going to be interesting to see how Ricky is going to counter it this time. I mean, he is playing Aatrox, so maybe he'll have a little bit more luck since he does play this champ a little bit more. And he's not really forced into a position where he has to play a little bit of a squishier tank that maybe he doesn't play as much.
Yeah, and at least, like, Aatrox compared to the Jace, you at least have the ability to heal yourself up through damage, which lets you all in a little bit more convincingly. So instead of it just being, okay, my cooldowns are off or are ready, I can dive in, now I need to leave. Aatrox, it's, okay, I go in and I better keep doing damage, otherwise I'm going to die. So, like, this does allow him to, like, really stick onto Graves this time. That being said, though, again, you're dealing with the shotgun. It does have a ton of damage for close range combat, and all the abilities for Graves really will help him out in that regard as well. So can he out sustain the damage and take care of Platypus one-on-one, or is he going to have to call for some early help there from E-Hug? We'll have to find out momentarily once we're done waiting for the spectator delay.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a 2-minute spectator delay in League, a 3-minute actually. So that's interesting because coming from a background in Overwatch, we never have that. You know, we never have the spectator delay. So I remember the first time watching League, I was like, why do you have to wait 3 minutes? That doesn't make sense. But I mean, in a fast-paced game like Overwatch, it doesn't really matter because that information will be useless to whoever by the time you give it to them, right?
And then I mean, we always just have the stream delay anyway, so you can't snipe it, but. Like, yeah, but in the game itself, like, it's not built into the client. Meanwhile, League, it absolutely is. And, like, anything from wards to, like, how much gold's in the opponent's pockets could be absolutely critical. So it's crazy the amount of little variables that, if in the wrong hands, could be absolutely devastating.
Definitely. Yeah, like, I think it's definitely interesting to see that spectator delay, but I mean, it is great. It is a great idea, honestly. And League of Legends in general has just been surprising me with how different it is to every other esport. I mean, I usually cast or play FPS games, but now League is it's been a little bit of a challenge, if I'm going to be real with you.
Hey, as long as you have a group of friends to do the game with and whatnot, then enjoy yourself. Just stay out of solo queue. But
absolutely. I mean, Billable always throws my games regardless, but
fair enough in that regard. But of course, to everybody tuning in, first off, thanks for tuning in. But this is only part 1, technically, of our double header today. Later on tonight at 9:30, we do return, like, shortly after these matches here, for some collegiate R6 playoff game action. Of course, our squad up, I think, currently in round 2 or 3 of the collegiate R6 playoffs, single elimination, round 2 to be specific. So we had our victory on Tuesday. Get to see if we can try to keep on going today in a best of 3 starting at 9:30. Going to be a crazy intense one. If it, again, very similar to what happened to League last week. If the games were anything like they were last week for R6, it is going to be absolutely nuts, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that one as well. So make sure, if you haven't done so already, to follow us here on Saints Gaming CA to catch all the action live as we do hop in to the Rift for game number 2. Grandview University up 1. Can they finish the job, or can Saints fight back for game 3?
We'll have to find out. I mean, I am not sure. Like, in terms of predictions, I feel like, I mean, St. Clair has a solid comp this time around as well, but I feel like if it keeps going the way that it is, it's going to be a 2-0. But I have faith in St. Clair to bring it to a 1-1 and then go into a game 3. I think it's very possible at this point.
Absolutely. I know personally, I was very worried because they jumped in to game number 2 essentially right off the cuff. As soon as the first game finished, they jumped right on in. And now I'm worried about the 2-0, but I'm thinking there's a lot of comfort picks here on the side of St. Clair. If there is any chance of them taking a game here off of Grandview JV, this is probably the time to do it. But they really are going to have to hang on early here. And are we going to see the reverse here? This time it's going to be Platypus going in for the one-on-one onto Ricky. Though Ricky only with the one ability this time. It is going to be essentially the go button here for the Saints bot lane to invade onto the red buff. E-Hug going to be trying to get the steal here. Where in the world is his leaving brain right now? He's at his camp, so to be fair, E-Hug's right here, has his red buff, and he's going to try and get the jump onto learning brain early. At the same time, Platypus is also going in for a little bit of an attack, but a little bit back and forth. But overall, no flashes really burned, just a little bit of damage here and there, and overall, everybody seems okay.
I'm actually surprised by the amount of aggression we're seeing early into this match. I mean, last match it was a little bit slower. We saw maybe the Platypus kill onto Ricky last match, but yeah, pretty interesting how aggro pretty much every lane is right now.
Yep, and there's level 2 advantage coming out here for Platypus. Ricky is going to be in a little bit of a world of hurt. Only auto attacks to try and deal up against 2 abilities. Going to make things a little bit difficult. Getting level 2 for himself finally right there, but he's going to be kind of stuck under his turret for at least a little while longer. As Barlow and Fresh look like they're in a bit of a similar situation, just hitting level 2 now.
Definitely. Early leveling is very important here because, like, if you're at level 1 and your opponent's at level 2, they can easily take you with those 2 abilities. I mean, if you only have 1 ability, it can be really difficult to get out of certain situations or to defend yourself. Absolutely.
Like, I know the go-to was always like, oh, if you have a Leona on your team, rush level 2, because that way you have your dash plus stun combo. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, DearVista gets exhausted. Here comes E-Hug. They're really going to commit to this. The stun coming out here, and they're going to give first blood over to Barlow. Good start here for St. Clair.
Definitely. I mean, St. Clair probably got a little bit of a confidence boost from that. I mean, last match was kind of rough, but coming back with a first blood can be pretty great for confidence.
Absolutely. If they were on any sort of negative morale, something like that can absolutely try to turn the tables here. And to be fair, even though DearVista could possibly have a little bit of burst damage if they want to really commit the rocket jump, it's more so of a defensive ability at the end of the day, so probably going to just opt to farm up for at least a bit longer. As we do see a dive up in the top lane. Ricky is not going to be long for this world. Learning Brain's picking up where he left off, getting his, like, what, 17th elimination of the day?
Yeah, exactly. Learning Brain definitely, again, like, on the kill feed a whole lot last match. Maybe we'll see more of him this match. I wouldn't be surprised because he seems to be very powerful. Oh, Ricky gonna try to go for Platypus here. Gonna dive in, but miss. Gonna try again, but he has a little bit of backup from Learning Brain. Ricky is not in a great spot. Ricky might be taken down again if he's not careful. It's starting to look like that might be the case. But yeah, it's gonna be tough for Ricky to get out, and Learning Brain is gonna take him out right there.
Tilt is all I saw there. That's definitely unfortunate. That being said, though, a little bit more favorable of a situation here as E-Hug is going to find the elimination there. Second kill this time onto Dread Joker. It's a little bit harder to stay alive when your character doesn't become intargetable when attaching to somebody. So, unfortunately there for Dread Joker, having a bit of a rough time to start off this one. But, to be fair, like, Saints on a relatively decent start. And the fact that Barlow's already got his... why do I not remember the item? But the one that amplifies his ability damage at this point here right now. That is fantastic.
Definitely very good to have early game here. Any advantage you can get, really. I mean, early game, it's not... Oh, actually, sorry. We're going to see Saints taking out the Ocean Drake, I do believe that is.
Yep.
Nice and early here. It doesn't look like it's going to be taken by Grandview. And looks like E-Hug got it.
Yeah, it's either Grandview completely content with passing that one by, or it just slipped under their noses, and Saints with a solid adjustment either way, though, to get themselves some objectives early in this game, because, of course, the Dragon Souls into the Baron was the combo that kind of killed things off, as we are going to see a bit of a double engage, or going on the Tristana, not quite going to find it this time by. DearVista going to hang on for dear life, or not hang on for dear life, actually in a relatively decent position still. Over 3/4 health still good to go. Going to survive anything that the Saints throw at them this time by. The top lane was getting feisty for a second, but now it seems to have calmed down. And Rift Herald will be making an appearance in about 1:30.
Yeah, it looks like Platypus is going to go after Ricky here a little bit. But, you know, I think Ricky is just going to back off, try to wait it out a little bit. I mean, he went in with some pretty aggressive engages earlier, and, you know, he kind of paid for it in the end. So it looks like he's kind of learned his lesson. He's kind of sitting back a little bit and just going to wait to level a little bit more before trying to push Platypus.
I mean, in this matchup, in theory, the Graves should be able to kind of push you around a little bit. That little bit of extra range advantage, the shotgun compared to the sword, is going to make things at least a little bit difficult. You'll probably see once Ricky hits 6 and maybe get some items that turn around a little bit. We do have a bit of a battle here into the jungle. The 3-on-2 in the favor of Grandview could cause a problem. 3-on-3 now. Barlow has joined the party, and he might be able to take care of Learning Brain for the first kill in this entire series. Finally goes down, and these kills are all going to E-Hug as of right now. Sephiroth is going to juke the bear, takes care of Kivy, and that is a good team fight here for St. Clair. But can Ricky survive up top? No. That's going to be the buckshot sealing the deal there. So Platypus gets a kill to kind of answer things back. Once again, very elimination heavy game here, but at least the eliminations here for St. Clair are on the right people.
Absolutely. I mean, being able to kill Learning Brain for the first time this series, that's a big enough achievement as it is. I mean, he seems to be probably their strongest player, the biggest threat to St. Clair right now. Oh, Learning Brain's in the bush. He's going to jump on Fresh. This is not where Fresh wants to be. It looks like E-Hug's going to come towards him, try to help him out a bit. Don't know if it'll be enough. He seems to be okay, but Kivy is going to try to jump on him. Oh, 4 members of St. Clair are going to try and attack them. Kivy's going to go down. Learning Brain is half health right now. Ricky going to chase him down with the rest of St. Clair kind of following him as well.
Unlucky there for Fresh. The ice chunk did not make contact, so it's just a matter of time before they try to seal the deal here. Fresh is going to secure it. It's okay. He's going to get himself a little bit tankier at that. I mean, optimally, of course, you want that to go onto one of your damage characters, but at the end of the day, an elimination is an elimination. We will take that gold anytime, regardless of who picks it up. But it's going to also turn into a Rift Herald as well, so double the value.
Absolutely. As long as it doesn't get stolen. I mean, there's so many times where I'm like, yes, my team has the Rift Herald down to such a low health, and then somebody just comes in and steals it without you even realizing.
Yeah, this is where I'm happy that the Ezreal is on our side, so there is no cross-map snipes, because let's be honest, Ezreal mains, you've tried it at least a couple times.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they have. I've seen it a little too many times here. Platypus and Ricky going to keep dueling it out up top lane as well.
Ezreal mains, Jinx mains, Draven mains, I see you.
Oh, yeah.
even Ashe mains at times.
You gotta queue with one at least, right? You gotta make sure that your Ezreal main can snipe that dragon for you.
I mean, you'll miss like 90 out of 100, but those few times that it actually happens, you feel like a legend. But
oh yeah.
For the game itself here, of course, a much more even across the board for both teams, to be fair. Dear Vista has the 1 elimination, and right now, Learning Brain this time with 2, but also 2 deaths as well. And then meanwhile, whenever we see the Saints win, if it's not because Ricky's going nuts, it's usually because E-Hug's gone nuts. And right now, he's in a position to do so. Sephiroth as well does have the ultimate. Is going to get absolutely gobbled up by Tibbers, though. Baited and outsmarted, apparently. That is going to be a nice little elimination there from Kivy to really turn their luck around. Because other than that last kill, they had nothing but 2 deaths and 69 CS, which wasn't very nice.
Yeah, definitely. Ricky gonna keep poking away at Platypus. It looked like he was trying to channel for a second, but oh my goodness, Learning Brain gonna come up with Platypus. Ricky's kind of trapped here. He needs to try to get out, but he's nearsighted. Not much he can really do.
Oh,
he's still alive. I don't know how he manages to stay alive here. Learning Brain is gonna come in and take him out.
Holy smokes. Okay, at least the Saints were able to capitalize and get the second dragon. That was extremely close, however. Dear Vista tried to jump in there with the rocket pack and just try to take it down with the landing damage. It was extremely close, but E-Hug did have the smites available. And now they're going to jump onto Dear Vista again. Shadow Puppy's not going to quite finish the job this time by, however, and E-Hug has to be careful. He's going to drop the Heralds, but can they really take this fight any further? They're all kind of low.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Oh, they're
Looks
going
like
to
try to take this turret out. Barlow manages to take out Deer Vista, and it looks like Dread Joker goes down too. One more would be Learning Brain. Platypus actually comes in here and manages to take out E-Hug.
Okay.
That's a little scary, but Barlow does manage to be on a killing spree. But he needs to get out of there.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Kibby sees him and takes him out.
Unlucky in that regard, but a rather back and forth fight there down by the bot lane turret. The Saints again reminding me why I'm behind the commentator's desk and not the player's desk. I would have just backed off and said, you know what, I'm at like a quarter HP. This isn't even plausible. Meanwhile, they get like 2-3 kills. So
Oh, yeah.
proving me wrong. Platypus, however, maybe going to make this elimination number 4 in the next couple of minutes. One more shot would do the trick, but there is Dread Joker with the shield and whatnot, and Learning Brain alongside Dread Joker is just going to absolutely turn this, and now we're kind of seeing Learning Brain back in the position that we're used to seeing him. Has 3 times the deaths as game number 1, but still does have plenty of eliminations to call his own as of right now, but he is way farther behind in regards to jungle creeps compared to E-Hug.
Absolutely. I also feel like this could be another case of...
Oh my.
Oh, Ricky actually going to try to do a little bit of hit damage. Takes out Deer Vista. Going to try again here to take out Dread Joker.
Oh, you're dead.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, E-Hug and Ricky here are going to take out Dread Joker. That's 2 kills there for the side of St. Clair.
Menacingly just sitting in the bush ready with the ultimate, able to sustain through any of the damage that Grandview threw at him, and then E-Hug coming up there with the extra assist too was just absolutely perfect timing. So we'd like to see. That's going to be the 5th elimination in the pocket here for E-Hug. So this Kindred pick, as of right now, is in the position to kind of be the second AD carry. Just be able to deal a ton of damage the later this game goes on. However, going to hold the phone for just a second. Barlow, good little arcane shift there to make sure that he got out of the way of Platypus. And Learning Brain, going to hang on tight for just a second.
Ricky just still kind of doing a little bit of poke here. That turret is so low up top there. So if he can get Kibby out of the way, oh my goodness, he's going to have to run. Tiber's going to come and chase him down, but his team is there to protect him. Tiber's still kind of chasing into the team though, so they need to be careful. E-Hug is going to take out Kibby in the process here. Dread Joker goes down 2 for a double kill for E-Hug.
Okay, Ricky, you may not have gotten an assist on either of those kills, but we know you got 2 in our hearts, man, because you just absolutely led them directly into the line of fire. As you see another attack here onto Barlow. He got through 1 A-OK. He's actually going to turn this around. He survives the dive and will absolutely profit, getting himself his 5th elimination. He has his Triforce, and he's just doing a fantastic job compared to game 1.
I don't know how he turned that around. I mean, that's absolutely crazy. Right now, actually, Platypus is half health, trying to take down Zephyrot. Zephyrod's
there,
trying to kind of get back a little bit. I mean, we're not going to see too much come from that. And it looks like Platypus is going to try to channel back into spawn, get some of that health, and come back.
I'm so surprised Zephyrot didn't actually go to pull the trigger. The ultimate is there. It does spot out Platypus. Stun makes contact. Of course, the more of those little purple orbs on the field, the more that ultimate from Syndra will do. However, maybe was waiting for level 11 to get that 2nd level into the ultimate to just get a bunch of additional bonus damage. Was hoping to get it, but of course, Platypus, even though like more of a ranged character, is one of the tankier of the few. The more times I believe it's his passive, like the more times he shoots, the more armor and magic resist he gets. So could still maybe have deflected it and bursted him back, but still some close engagements, even though as of right now, Saints have themselves actually quite the lead.
Oh yeah, this could be St. Clair's comeback right now. Trying to win these next few fights. Could give them an advantage. Actually, we're going to see a team fight right now. Learning Brain getting chased down by 4 members of St. Clair. E-Hug manages to get him here. Platypus going to run in behind, but it looks like everybody is going to stay alive for the most part there, other than the 1 kill that went down.
Okay, honestly, this is exactly why we love having all of these characters with such long-range auto attacks. Fresh was able to start things off, had the ultimate to slow things down as well, and they just needed one more auto. It just took E-Hug to dive on in there one more time to land the stun, and there's nothing that Learning Brain can do. Not in the range of anybody to kick him away, nothing that they can do in the slightest. Goes down for elimination number 5 here in this game. Currently essentially going even 5-5 as of this moment. And that's going to be another dragon. That's dragon number 3. Saints are going to be threatening Soul Point upon this next dragon happening in about 5 minutes time. And it's going to be another one of those mountain drakes that are fantastic at closing out games.
Absolutely. Learning Brain is doing a little bit more farming. Fresh kind of cutting through River here. Needs to be careful because Deer Vista and Dread Joker are both there, and they know that he's there. So he's going to have to kind of work with Zephyros here to get out of there or try to get a kill.
Just throwing snowballs out like one of those icy rains of sorts. But I'm going to hang on to that for just a second. Platypus is not long for this world. E-Hug going to take care of that nice and quick. Going to get one on the board there for Zephyros. Ricky all popped, ready to go. Does he want the chase? Of course he wants the chase, but can he actually catch anybody right now? Kibby just running for the hills. The demonic child has a literal demon chasing after her, so she needs to run as fast as possible. And of course, here comes the benefits of the Lulu. Never mind, you're not quick enough. They're still pushing forward. That is a 4-0, and now we're going to get some turrets out of the deal. Saints just look like a completely different team this time by.
Absolutely. They're definitely looking fairly dominant in this game here. Ricky on the Aatrox, definitely a big change for him. He's able to perform a lot better this game. But all over, the whole team just kind of working together, trying their best this match, and it seems to be paying off.
And this is the kind of situation I like to see for the Saints, because even in past semesters, my biggest gripe was they would always have that one player who would be like the standout, but if that player did not pop off in like the team fights that mattered, even if they were fed in game, like it felt like the Saints kind of collapsed. However, in a situation like this where Barlow is like pretty well off right now, Zephyros doing a fantastic job, E-Hug is nuts right now, and Ricky might as well be a tank even though he's playing a bruiser, because he's getting out of there with just the right amount of health to bait everybody in, and he's just been kind of directing traffic, even though his scoreboard is not going to reflect that in this situation here. But having 3 separate threats right now on the Saints roster is exactly where the Saints want to be, because even in a worst case scenario where one of them goes down, it's not like it's the end-all be-all.
Yeah, right now, Saints have a 21-10 kill lead and almost 10,000 gold difference. So, I mean, it's going to be very difficult for Grandview to come back from this, especially with no turrets taken from St. Clair yet either. We might actually see a little bit of a fight here. Learning Brain going to try to get in there and take somebody from St. Clair. Barlow and E-Hug working together.
Okay.
Gonna take him out. It looks like Deer Vita gonna try to back up. Deer Joker gonna get taken out by Barlow again here. And then we have Ricky working with Fresh and Barlow again. Barlow's actually really low. He's trying to get out of there. Ricky's gonna take out Kibby, and Barlow gonna help take out Deer Vita.
Yeah, but it's going to be all up to Platypus, the last player standing here on the side of Grandview. And I don't know how Zephyros got into this ganking position, but good night, Sweet Prince. You are dead. Ace on the board. St. Clair looking to do some damage. The Baron is up if they want to opt to do so, or they can just opt for turrets and go on back. We'll have to see in just a second here. But looking like they're just going to opt to take away all of the resources inside of the jungle of Grandview side, maybe go back and get some items, and then maybe regroup for a Baron push sometime soon.
So, looks like Barlow's actually going to get ganked here from Learning Brain. Looks like Fresh going to help him as well. Learning Brain might go down here, and he does go down to Barlow. Dread Joker going to be next. Can they get Deer Vita? That is the question. Barlow and Fresh working together and take out Deer Vita as well, or Vista. So it's going to end up being 3 kills for the 2 of them combined.
My goodness, Barlow is just absolutely nuking people here in this game, and now they can even split things up a bit because there's so much damage across the team. You could have people go down and take that bot turret A-OK and still have enough for this Baron.
Absolutely. And that looks like exactly what's happening here. I know there's a little bit of a fight going on near the turret, I think, just by looking at the mini-map, but we'll have to see what goes on there. I mean, Saints are going to channel back to spawn and maybe just group up and go for a push here.
Here, this is the finishing blow right here. The Dragon spawning in 5 seconds could give them Dragon Soul, and now no matter what, if Grandview want to deny this Dragon Soul, they have to fight a Baroned up St. Clair squad, and that is an absolute troublesome goal, to say the least, especially as we see, we can even just take a look at this gold lead right now. We are worried about it making that 10K mark. We're beyond that at this point here.
14, I do believe.
Yep, this is going to be Dragon Soul in the pocket, the Soul, the Baron, a stupid gold lead. Right now it's going to be just, it's on the Saints right now. They have to close things out, but still do it wisely. They could still get picked out if they're not careful. But in theory, if they just deathball this, I think they win.
Definitely. I mean, I think Saints pretty much
They still have Shelly?
I think so. I think Saints pretty much have the nail in the coffin right now. It's going to be difficult for Grandview to come back from this one. Saints going to try to go in for another fight here. Going to take out this first inhibitor. Dear Vista going to go up against Fresh and Ricky, but blue turrets are being destroyed left, right, and center. Saints kind of rotating all the way around, taking out each inhibitor, and it's only a matter of time to the final 2 turrets and the Nexus.
Yeah, Fresh and Ricky, the vanguard here for the Saints, just like both of them is able to zone the rest of the Grandview squad away, making them think twice. And now it looks like we have the possibility, because Ricky does have a teleport, so they could very well go for a 3-1-1 or a 4-0-1 in a second. Trying to see how many people we have up in the top lane. Does look like we have 4 nearby, and then they're just going to let Ricky split push. So this is going to be so tough to deal with, because you cannot just send one person to deal with Ricky. He's probably still going to have to pull 2, even though he's not necessarily the most fed person on the Saints roster.
Definitely. Looks like we're going to have Fresh going in with the shield here. Going to try and protect his team. Ricky going to take out, Barlow going to take out Tristana. Ricky going to take out Lee Sin here. Oh, it looks like the client decided to pause right at the most exciting moment.
That's the freeze of death. That is the game being completed, which means we are going to be ending up going into game number 3. But I mean, to be fair, we kind of figured that that's kind of where we were going after the way those last minutes just completely took a turn in St. Clair's favor. So this is going to make me wrong twice. I thought Saints were going to win game number 1 like convincingly. Did not happen in the slightest. I thought Grandview was going to win game 2 convincingly. I am so wrong. It's a good thing I don't bet on anything.
It's okay. I was in the same situation as you, Dan.
But hey, this means we get ourselves a game number 3. And honestly, it's like fantastic on the side of the Saints. They pulled themselves back together in solid form. They had themselves some comfort picks, where even though it's not necessarily like a Dive wombo combo, like heavy, like high execution but high success rate like comp, it's just overall solid.
Yeah.
And I want to see something very similar. If they do want to go for something combo based, at least keep the bans somewhat similar, because to be fair, a lot of the major threats in game number 1 just kind of fell apart in game 2.
Definitely, I agree. So I think now we are going to take a short 5-minute break here, allow the players to kind of talk about what just happened, go grab a drink or some snacks or something. Same thing with you guys. Go do the same thing. And we'll meet you here in about 5 minutes for the end of the series.